Hello viewers, welcome back to the Moose Mobile Auto Repair channel, and today we're working on a 2010 Toyota Corolla with a 1.8 liter engine, and today there's a coolant leak on this. And previously when I did the oil change service, I noticed that there was a bunch of coolant everywhere and the reservoir was almost empty. It was very low, but I still had some coolant inside the radiator. It was full in there. And so it seems like that the thermostat housing is leaking on this. And a little bit of some history on this vehicle is that I actually replaced the thermostat and the thermostat housing as preventative maintenance. I think back in maybe 2017 or something. It's been roughly like 8 years. I believe I did install aftermarket parts, so now the housing is no good now. It's plastic, so it's leaking from there. And so today we are going to take it apart and replace it with a new one. So now I remove the engine cover, and as you can see here, you can see there's a bunch of coolant that's leaking where the thermostat housing is. So I won't be able to show absolutely everything from here at this time, but you can see a bunch of coolant. It's leaking everywhere and getting at the bottom. I did top up the coolant once and it's still okay. It was dripping on the floor at some points. There were a few drips, and then it stopped dripping for some time. So anyhow, we are going to take this apart and start working on this. Now, if you want, you can remove the alternator to give you some room to work on, but I don't think you have to, but it will make it easier if you do. So right now on what we are going to do is we are going to disconnect the negative terminal of the battery. We are going to take the alternator out to give us a little bit of some room. And if you want, you can drain the radiator from the petcock or the drain valve down there, the yellow one, if you want. You don't have to. I'm just going to pull out the radiator to drain it. It's not really going to matter on where you drain it. And also, if you don't want to change the coolant entirely, you can block off the hose using a pinch pliers to pinch the hose, so you don't lose as much coolant, but you'll still have some coolant coming out of the block. So it's really up to you on what you want to do. It does not really matter on where you drain it first. It's a matter of preference at this point. Just remember to remove and take off the radiator cap first to relieve the pressure in the system if there's any, and that's it. So I disconnected the negative terminal of the battery. I saved the plastic caps from the new batteries, so I can use this to block it off for safety. Or you can use a cloth rag to cover it up for safety. So we're going to loosen up the alternator. So on top it's a 12 mil. And at the bottom, it's a 14 millimeter at the bottom. It's 14 millimeter. We are going to be needing to take everything out, so we have to take all of the bolts out. So this bolt is a very long one, so it's going to take some time to get it out until you are all the way out from where the threads are. 12 mil on top we are going to take out. Probably should loosen it first and then loosen up the adjuster, because then it's gonna get stuck in there. So now you can take the belt off completely if you want, or just leave it on there, because we are not changing the belt. So we still need to get the 14 mil out of the way. I'll come back on camera after I get that bolt out. Now if you want, you can use a wrench, a ratcheting wrench, to get it out so it doesn't get stuck in between the frame. So now the bolt is all the way out. You can take the bolt out, and here it is. And now we need to remove the electrical connections for the alternator. Now in the beginning, you can remove them first or remove the mounting bolts. It doesn't really matter. Probably easier to remove this first before removing the mounting bolts, but it's not going to matter. But the reason why I say that, because the alternator is going to move around back and forth. So we are going to take the electrical connection off. So we push on the tab on the right and pull out. It may be difficult to get it out, but you can use a flathead screwdriver to pull it out when you push on the tab. So next is the plastic cap for the power feed cable, and remove the 10 millimeter nut that's on the alternator. It's a 10 mil. And get that out of the way. Remove the cable. And then we need to take off the 10 millimeter that's here. I think a long time ago I put a zip tie here because this plastic piece was loose, was no longer secured to the wiring harness. So I probably won't be able to get to that. So I may need to remove the zip tie out of the way so I can have some room to this 10 millimeter bolt. Going to take this off. Get that out of the way. So we are just going to leave that on there. There's no need to remove it. I just got the harness out of the way. Alternatively, you can push back and pull back to get this off, but I'm just going to leave that on there. There's a tab in the back here you can push open, so you can get this out, this piece out. So there's no need to remove the 10mm on this. Only when you are replacing the alternator with a new one, and then you need to, because it needs to be transferred over. We are going to remove the 12mm bolt that's holding the bracket together. So we are going to remove the 12mm bolt to remove this bracket. Get this out of the way. And now I believe we can get the alternator out. You just need to wiggle it and to pull it out. Sometimes you may need to use a pry bar or something. Should be able to get this out easily. So now that the alternator is out, we have lots of room to access the two nuts for the thermostat housing. I'm going to remove the hose clamp so I'm able to drain the coolant. I've replaced these hoses years ago because I was getting some black stuff inside the coolant. It was the deterioration of the rubber inside the hoses, so the hoses inside were peeling off, and so there was too much of the black stuff, so I decided to replace the hoses then, and that solved the issue. So anyhow, I do have aftermarket warm gear clamps. I know that they are not the best. You are better off to stick with the OEM style spring clamps, because those maintain constant and an equal tension all around the circumference of the hose. So, but that's all I have. So I'm just going to use a brand new one of these clamps. So anyhow, I'm going to drain it from here. So you want to grab yourself a drain bucket before you drain this, and you want to open up the radiator cap. And it's not a bad idea to replace this as preventative maintenance, because the internal spring, they wear out over time. So if you want to replace it, you can. If you want to reuse it, that's also fine. But eventually everything wears out in the cooling system, so eventually you're going to be replacing these parts. So this hose clamp is an 8mm, so we're going to loosen that up. And get that out of the way. It's going to make a big mess, so we need to be careful. So we're going to remove this. You can remove it slowly if you want, so it doesn't drain too much. So it's splashing out. And like I said, if you want to drain it, from the radiator, you can. It doesn't matter. It's all up to you. It's just a personal preference thing. And to me, it doesn't matter. I just want to get the job done, in and out, and that's it. So you can position the hose downwards so that you can get it into the jug, or the drain bucket. This is the old clamp. We are going to be replacing that. And then now we can go ahead and remove these two nuts for the housing. So the coolant is still draining. And so for the housing, it's a 10 millimeter for each one. Just going to grab an extension, a half extension. Just to make things easier so I don't have to fight with this thing. There's a bit of rust buildup from over the years. So loosen that. And we're going to loosen the bottom one. We may need to take the extension off now. Just the 10 millimeter deep socket. Just making sure I'm on there all the way so I don't round off the nut. I'm actually still waiting for the parts to show up. The parts haven't showed up yet. More coolant is going to come out after we get this out, and after we pull the thermostat out, more coolant is going to come out. And get this out of the way. Remove those nuts. And sometimes the nuts, they come out at the same time with the the studs, so you need to watch out for that. It's not really a big deal, but that does happen sometimes. I think it's pretty much out now. Can remove them by hand. Not yet. We are going to clean these afterwards. I have to clean them up before we reinstall them, so you can carefully remove the housing. I wasn't too sure if the housing was leaking or if the thermostat seal was leaking, so but I can see, I don't know if there's a hole in there or something, but hard to tell. But we are replacing both. I don't know if there was a crack in here or not. just dried coolant. So that's that. And so now you can see the thermostat. We are going to pull that out. I see something that may have been caught in between there. I don't know how that happened. Could be debris or a dead fly or something. I don't know what that is. So there's something in between there. So I'm going to pull that out now. Sometimes if it doesn't work by hand, you need to use like a screwdriver to get behind there and to pull it out. So now I'm just going to use my hook tool, if I'm able to get under there and just to pull this guy out. And I think we're just like a piece of debris that was in there. I don't see it there now. I pulled it out. Maybe dried coolant, I don't know. I did replace this within, I believe, with a Aisin Thermostat, which is the OEM for Toyota. I'm not sure. But anyhow, I think, I don't know if this is an Aisin thermostat, but anyhow, I'm waiting for the new parts. Typically you would replace the seal and you would replace the thermostat at the same time, and then now we have to clean up the housing here, all the build up and stuff. So we need to clean everything up and then reinstall everything back together. Now for the thermostats, you gotta make sure that the jiggle valve or jiggle pin right here is positioned at 0 degrees on top. This is for bleeding the air pockets. So we need to make sure to position it perfectly at 0 degrees. There is a tolerance, I think, of maybe 10 degrees offset max. I don't know if it's 10 or 20 degrees, something like that, but I will check and put it on the screen if I'm able to find it. So you can put it slightly off, and that's okay, but try your best to keep it like this, the jiggle valve on top. So you have to make sure that you install that correctly, otherwise you won't be able to bleed the coolant after that. So anyhow, we're just going to clean this area up. I have some 3M Scotch-Brite sandpaper that I typically use, either the gray or the red one. I think it's like a maroon or burgundy color. So that one is very fine. And the other one, the gray one that I typically use in my previous videos, is ultra fine. So anyhow, I'm going to clean this up and then we'll come back. So we're just going to wash this down first with some brake cleaner. We're just going to sprinkle a little bit of water now. I'm just cleaning the area down, that's all, before I start sanding anything down. So I have the 3M Scotch-Brite sandpaper. It's safe for aluminum surfaces, so I'm going to use this. I'm just going to cut it down to size first. So there's the gray one that I typically use sometimes as well. It's ultra fine. And then there's the red one that I've started using now. So we're just going to sand down the area over here. I may have to do this off camera because I don't have any room here because the camera is in the way. So you need to sand down the area everywhere and the inside step portion here. So I'm going to sand that down and bring you guys back. So now everything is all cleaned up. I can't get it any better than what it is now. I forgot to mention that sometimes I use I believe it's a 50 grit for aluminum, the green Rolock sanding disc. So I can clean here. Usually I carefully to clean here. You can use this as well for aluminum surfaces, but you just need to be careful when you are doing it. So it's perfectly safe to use this. You just need to be careful, that's all. And this is the way how I was cleaning it off camera, just like this, and go very slowly. And you can also use the Scotch-Brite stuff. I already tried to clean it the best I can, but it's not getting any better than that. So try the best you can to clean the surfaces, and then you are ready to install the new thermostat and seal and the housing. It's imperative that you clean the surfaces, because if you don't, then it's going to leak after you do the installation. So you have to make sure that you clean the surfaces well. I still need to clean at the bottom here and stuff, and a little bit here on the lip, and then we should be all good to go after that. So once again, I sometimes use the green sanding disc wheel for the aluminum surfaces, but you need to be very careful when you use this. So you just need to use caution when you're dealing with aluminum surfaces on vehicles. So now the parts came in. I'm going to be using the Aisin thermostat along with the seal. They come separately. I'll post all of the part numbers in the description and comments section. And I'm using the Motorad housing. I was in a pinch, so I was not able to get the Toyota stuff. So it's just identical to the old part. And I also got a radiator cap. I'm probably going to replace that as well. So with the new thermostat, you need to install the seal. So it comes separately. So you install it. Just goes inside the opening. Now, after you install the seal, there's no need to put silicone around here. It's a new seal. You can if you want, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary to do. That's what the seal is for. It's designed to seal the housing and to prevent leaks. So make sure it's installed squarely on the new thermostat before you install it. And we will need to lubricate the new seal with coolant. You don't want to install this dry. Once you have lubricated the seal, you can just give this housing a quick wipe. Make sure it's nice and dry before you install it. So I checked the service information. So when you install this, you have to make sure that the jiggle valve or the jiggle pin is at 0 degrees. There's a tolerance of up to 10 degrees offset. So even if you're slightly off, that's fine. Doesn't have to be 100% perfect. So we just need to line it up. it will be installed like this. When you install it, one other thing to note is that the Toyota uses Aisin parts for their cooling system and stuff. So you can see they scratched out the Toyota logo because this was specifically designed for Toyota. They scratched it out because I bought it directly. It's directly from the Aisin manufacturer, so they don't want you to know that it's from Toyota. But Toyota is affiliated with Aisin. They own a share of the company, so it's pretty much almost the same company. So anyhow, so we are going to install this now. Put it in the straight ahead position at 0 degrees with the jiggle pin facing upwards. You want to make sure it's in flush before we install the housing. So make sure it's in properly all the way before you install the new plastic housing. So I'm just making sure that this is flush all the way in before I install the housing. So make sure that the pin, jiggle valve pin is facing at 0 degrees on top. And then we are ready to install the housing now. Just trying to line this up. So that's in. I just need to install the two nuts. Just need to start the nuts and tying them down. Just going to hand tying it down first before I use a ratchet. Now you may need to turn this and to shift it to straighten it up so that it sits in all the way. So now we're just going to tighten this up a little bit. I want to do both sides evenly. So once you have reached the very end, then we are going to torque it after. It should stop after you tighten it up a certain amount. So the torque spec for these nuts are 7 foot-pounds. I'm using a 1/4 inch torque wrench, so it's an inch-pound, so I will have to convert it. So for every 12 inch-pounds is 1 foot-pound. So 12 times 7 is 84 inch-pounds. So I'm going to torque this to 84 inch-pounds, or you can torque it to 7 foot-pounds on whichever unit you are using on your torque wrench. So I'm going to torque this to 84 inch-pounds on this one. Ideally you want to work in stages when you are tightening it up with the ratchet. But this one is just almost tight. Just making sure everything is okay, and that's it. Everything is tight. We're all ready to reinstall everything back. It's just going to be the reverse of removal. I'm going to put this hose back, the electrical connector and the hose back, and then that's going to be it. I'm not going to be showing everything because I'm actually in a hurry at this point in time. So after I put everything back, I'll bring you back on camera, and that's going to conclude the video for the replacement. So I'm just going to install the lower radiator hose back, just trying to see where this electrical connector should be going. Above here, it's connected to the intake side where it came off. That happened to come off while I was working along. So this vehicle has been well maintained for the cooling system. It's been changed and replaced multiple times over the years because repairs were needed, such as the water pump and stuff. You can have a look at the pulleys and stuff and check it if you want to. If you want to check all of the pulleys, make sure everything is okay before you put everything back. So we're going to install this. And I just need to tighten up that hose. You want to, if you use the worm gear clamp, you want to position it in such a way in which you can access it easily. Because if you cannot access it easily, then it's going to be a problem. Just trying to position the hose clamp in the same way it was installed. You want to put it in the same spot. So now I've reconnected everything. I put the alternator back and readjusted the belt. I'm just adding some coolant right now. The vehicle is not running yet, so I'm just waiting for the coolant to go through. And I still need to reconnect the negative terminal of the battery. I think that's going to be it for this video. Just do your initial checks to make sure that there isn't any obvious leaks. So make sure there isn't anything leaking before you start the vehicle first. So just make sure everything is tight and secured before you continue. And after, when you finish, just make sure you dispose the old coolant. I have the drain pan still on the floor, so make sure you recycle the old coolant. Don't leave it outside because it's not good for the environment and also for the animals. The coolant attracts animals, so just make sure you dispose the coolant properly. I'm not going to show a video on how to bleed the cooling system because I already have that, so I'll post a link in the on the screen and in the description if you want to watch that on how to bleed the cooling system. So that's going to be it for this one. One last thing I wanted to say is that I'm using the Toyota Super Long Life coolant. So I got that from the dealership, and when I was in a pinch, I was low on coolant, so I just got on whatever that was available. I used the Napa Asian coolant. Says pink rose. So it says for Lexus, Toyota, and Scion, it's 50-50 pre-mix. This looks almost identical to the same Toyota stuff. So either or, I think that this is okay to use as well. It's pretty much identical to the same stuff. So as long as the chemistry is the same and it's compatible, you should be okay to use the Napa stuff if you want. There's no issues using that. So that's going to be it for replacing the thermostat and the housing on this 2010 Toyota Corolla. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a like, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you're not already a subscriber, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good night and take care.